2 of Google Docs. For these assignments, I want you to create your Docs files directly from Google Classroom. To do this, you select the Assignment tab. So you click on the actual assignment, go to Create, and then Docs. Now, before we actually get started on this assignment, I want to show you a little trick. And that trick would be if we have the Docs file open, and we can get rid of this. We have our Docs file open, we have our video over here. What if we had them side by side so we didn't have to go back and forth looking at the video and then to the file? So to do that, we go up to the tab, and if we click and drag it off, we can turn it into two different Google Chrome windows. So now we just need to resize it. So we go over here and we make the window smaller, and we can move it to the side. And we've got our document set up over here. Now our video is cut off, so we can go ahead and make this one smaller. So we go over here, stretch it out, and to the bottom. So now we have the video on the left and our actual document on the right. This will allow us to type without going back and forth. So that's just a little trick to look at before we get started. All right, before we get started, I wanted to take a quick look at our unit objectives for Unit 2 of Google Docs. What we're going to cover in this unit includes tabs, bulleted and numbered list, drawings, margins, symbols, proper letter format. We are going to learn how to insert tables into a Google Docs file and clip art. But before we get started on the actual assignment, I want to show you what we're going to make. So for this assignment, we are going to create a letter to Mr. Snell, the principal of Northwest High School, telling him a little about ourselves. So we're going to create a letterhead up here for us. We're going to set up with proper letter format, which includes the date, the address of the person you're sending it to, a greeting such as Dear Mr. Snell. We have our body information, and we can't forget to end with sincerely. So it's a lot like how we did emails, just a little more precise in Google Docs. All right, let's get started on the actual assignment. The first thing you must always do when you start a new Google Docs, slides, or sheet is title it. This is something that I've seen people get away from recently, so I just wanted to go over it again. Make sure you give it a title so when you go to Google Drive to turn it in, you know exactly what you're turning in. So let's call this one Valley Letter. Now remember, this is a follow along, so whenever you feel comfortable, hit pause and go ahead and do what I do. So our first step is creating our letterhead. So we go to Insert and Drawing. Now we'll start with a shape. The shape that I want to use is just a typical rectangle. Now there's no exact size that you must have, but just try to match what I do as well as you can. So we just want it to go all the way across, and we want it to be a little bit tall. So this will be our shape. We want the fill color to be normal blue. and we want the line color to be a light blue. So we'll go with light blue 3. And let's go ahead and make that a little bit bigger. So we'll make it 4 points. So now we have our shape. We need to put our words into the shape. So we're going to go to Actions, Word Art, and type in Valley Middle School. And hit Enter. Next, we'll change the font to match the one we want to have because this is a little boring. We'll go to More and go with Merriweather. So you see it got pretty big there. So we're going to have to resize it to fit into our shape. So let's move it up there. I think it's glitching a little bit because this is a screencast. All right, let's move our words into the shape. And you can see that red line appears that tells us that our words are centered top to bottom in the shape. So we'll put it in there and resize it to fit. All right, I think that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and change some of the colors on this. So the fill color we'll keep with light blue. Let's change the line color from black to a dark blue and make the line weight just a little bit bigger. So that was 2 points in dark blue. The last thing we want to do in Google Drawing is insert our lion right here. So we go to Images, and we're going to have to search. So we'll just search for a lion. Now you'll notice when we do this search, we get a whole bunch of pictures of lions. We don't want pictures for this instance, we want clip art. So to change that, we go over to any type and we want to select clip art. Now we've got a lion that we can use. So let's select this one and insert. We just go ahead and resize it to fit. And remember, we always drag from the corner so that it's evenly resized. And once we're happy, we can put it into our shape. And now that we have it in there, we can even format this a little bit to make it fit even better. All right, so I think we're done with our Google Drawing portion of this. Let's go ahead and save and close. And it's inserted directly into our Google Docs file. So now that we have our Google Drawing in, we want to click so our cursor is right after it and hit enter to start a new line. Now on this line, we're going to start with the school address, which is 4300 Gravois Road, House Springs, Missouri, 63051. So we'll type that out and stop, because we want to put in a symbol after it. So to do that, we go to Insert, Special Character. We have symbols. Let's go ahead and change it from arrows to stars and asterisks. And let's select this one, the black 4-pointed star. And if we exit out, we've got our star. Now we can go ahead and finish out this line. So next we need the school's phone number. And then we'll put another star. And last, we're going to put our email address. So put your email address at northwestschools.net. And you'll notice when I was typing, I went ahead and let it go to the next line. I didn't hit enter before it to move it to the next line, which I've seen people make that mistake quite a bit. So always just type, and whenever it finishes, it goes to the next line. So type this part out. Now that you have it typed out, let's go ahead and format it so it can fit on just one line. So let's highlight it. Let's change the font because we don't want to be boring. Let's go with Allegra, and we'll keep it at 11. The only other thing I want to do is center it, just so we have some equal space on each side. Now we are almost done with our letterhead. Let's go to the end of this line and hit enter so we can start a new line. And we want to insert a horizontal line underneath the address. So you'll notice when we create the letterhead, we want to use the address of the person sending it. So for this example, you're sending it from the Valley to Mr. Snell. We're going to use the Valley's address. So let's go ahead and hit enter twice and move it back over to the left side. The next thing that you're going to look at is one of our objectives that we need to learn about, which is tabs. To insert a tab, first make sure your ruler is showing. So if it's not, go to View, Show Ruler. And we want to put a tab at 5 inches. So let's go up to our ruler, and all we do is just click on the 5. Now we can add a left tab stop, a center, or a right. We want to add a left tab stop. So you'll notice after we added that, there's a little sideways arrow right on the number 5. What we want to do next is we want to hit the tab key on our keyboard. And you'll see it jumped all the way over 5 inches because we set a stop at 5 inches for tabs. I want you to type in today's date. Don't type in those words, type in the actual date it is today. And then go ahead and hit enter twice. The next step is to put in the address of the person you are sending the letter to. So if we keep our format straight, we have our address in the letterhead, and here we have Mr. Snell's name and the address we are sending the letter to. So we can go ahead and type that in and hit enter 2 times. Here's where we put our greeting. For most letters, you're going to go with Dear and then the person's name. So we'll go Dear Mr. Snell. We put a comma at the end of it, and we go ahead and hit enter 2 times. So now we can start writing our body of our letter. So this is where we put the actual information we want to send to Mr. Snell. Here is the information I want you to type into the first part of your body. My name is, and you'll put your name here, and I am a future student at Northwest High School. I would like to first introduce myself to you and tell you how excited I am to get to the school. I plan on being a member of the following clubs when I get to high school. So once you type that, we'll go ahead and hit enter, and we want to put in a bulleted list of all the clubs we want to join in high school. So we have to be on this new line to do it. We go up to our bulleted list, and let's go ahead and select one of the different kinds. Let's go with stars. So for yours, you can put any club you actually want to be a part of. You can use my example if you're not sure what clubs you want to join. So soccer, National Honor Society, and let's say Northwest Detail, which is the newspaper. So now we have our bulleted list. Hit enter, and we have to turn the bulleted list off because we want to keep typing more body information. Let's go ahead and hit enter one more time so we start a new line, and the next part of body information is as follows. My experience at the Valley Middle School has been great so far. I love all of my classes and think I am a good student. You can find my current grades below. So after that's done, we'll hit enter, and we need to insert a table. So we're actually going to show Mr. Snell all of our current grades. So go to insert, table. Now we want a couple for the heading, and then we have 7 classes. So we'll go 2 over and 8 down so that we can cover all of our classes. And now we have our table. So in the top, we can put a heading like class. So on the left side, we'll have all of our classes, and on the right side, we will have all of our grades. I do not want you to copy down the classes I've put in because I want you to put your classes in the order you take them. So make sure you have your first hour here, second hour, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh. So take a second, type in all of your classes. Now that you have your classes in, let's go ahead and look up your actual grades right now. So to do that, let's open a new tab. And in this tab, we'll go to the Northwest School District website. Once you are on the district website, you can go to Infinite Campus Portal, and this is where you will find your grades. So I can't sign into Infinite Campus and show you what it looks like from the student perspective, but I will show you how or what you put in to sign in. So for you to sign into Infinite Campus, your username is your lunch number. Your password is the same exact password you use to sign into Google. So username, lunch number, password is your Google password. Then you'll click sign in. And once you're in Infinite Campus, you will be able to check out all of your grades by clicking on grades. So go on there, and I want you to explore your grades a little bit. Now that you're able to locate your grades, I want you to type them into this table. So your first hour grade will go here, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh. So go ahead and add your grades to this table. All right, now we have all of our grades added in. We are almost ready to finish off this letter. Now, the last thing and what you must always include in a letter, and this is actually taking us to the next page, the last thing you always have to include in a letter is your sincerely or your goodbye. So what we'll do is make sure our tab is still at 5 inches. We'll hit tab, type sincerely, and we actually want to put a couple spaces because we want to leave room to actually sign this, and we'll put our name. So sincerely, some space, and your name. That way when we print it out, we can sign our name right here. Now you'll notice that our letter has gone on to 2 pages, which is okay if we have a lot of information, but I think we can fit this on 1 page. So let's go ahead and highlight everything. all the way down to your name. And let's go ahead and change it to a different font. Let's go with Times New Roman, which is a little bit smaller, and go with a 10-point font. Now we fit on one page. Add a space there. Now I think we can do a little bit more to make this look better. So let's go ahead and format this table so it's not just a plain black and white table. Let's start with our heading, and we'll go ahead and fill the heading. Let's go ahead and fill that with blue. So we'll go up to more. We'll fill in the color with blue. Let's change the text color to white so it's a little easier to read, and we can center them in the actual table. I think these look good. Let's go ahead and highlight all of our grades and center those in the table. But what if we want to actually center the table itself? We have this table and it's pretty wide for not a lot of information, so we can resize it. To resize, we just click on one of the lines we want to move, and let's go ahead and move it over. So now everything fits a little bit better, and then we can move this one and make the table smaller. So we can mess around with this until we get it the exact size we want. But now our table's over here, so like I said before, let's look at how we center the table on the page. So make sure we have our cursor inside the table somewhere. We go up to Table in the ribbon. We go to Table Properties. And here we could do a specific column width, a specific row height, all that stuff. But we just want to change the table alignment to center. And you'll see it puts it in the center of the page. So let's take a quick look. We are almost there. We just have one more thing. You'll see that the email addresses are all blue and underlined. What that means is they are a hyperlink. If I clicked on this, I could mail or email Mr. Snell directly from here. But we don't want to have them blue and underlined because we're going to send this in the mail. So let's go ahead and remove that. Remove that one. Now I think our letter is perfect and it is ready to send. So go ahead and turn it in and we can move on to the next assignment.